Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
It was clear as day. Sejanbe was the pride of the heavens, a man born to stand above the rest. And her, just a country girl with no family name, no background worth mentioning. How could someone like him truly like someone like her? That single thought extinguished the spark of joy in Sheng Fenghua's heart. Her brief moment of happiness faded, and a trace of loneliness settled in her eyes. Sejanbe caught the shift in her expression and misunderstood. He assumed she was scared. His voice softened, as if trying to lighten the mood. Don't overthink it. I was just joking. Sheng Fenghua gave a bitter smile in her heart. So it really was just a joke. She had let herself believe, even for a second, that he might care. The realization left her cold. Composing herself, she looked up at him with a calm, distant expression. It's getting late. You should head back. The atmosphere, once tinged with something unspoken, dissolved instantly. Sejanbe studied her face, confused. She didn't look flustered anymore, just closed off. He frowned. What's wrong? Nothing. I'm just tired. I want to sleep, she replied, her voice cool and dismissive. Sejanbe paused, then silently walked to a nearby chair and sat down. Without a word, he pulled out a military magazine and began flipping through the pages. Sheng Fenghua stared at him, brows knitting. You're not leaving? He didn't answer, but the look he gave her said it all. No, I'm not. She was stunned. There's no extra bed here, just that chair. You're not seriously planning to spend the whole night sitting there? Yes, he said simply, eyes dropping back to the page. Now she was truly annoyed and frustrated. She had told him to go because she cared. He had just returned from a grueling mission, and he hadn't even rested properly. Even if his body was made of steel, he needed sleep. Trying again, she said, You can go back. I'll be fine on my own. It's fine, he replied casually, not looking up. This time, her temper flared. She didn't even know what exactly she was angry about. His stubbornness? Or the fact that he stayed when she thought he wouldn't? I said go back. Are you deaf? Her voice rose, sharper than intended. Startled, Sejanbe looked up, puzzled. What's wrong with you? Nothing. I just don't need you here watching me all night. It's irritating. The words stabbed deeper than she meant them to. Sejanbe's expression darkened, hurt flickering in his eyes. So that's it. You don't want to see me. Sheng Fenghua opened her mouth to deny it, but nothing came out. The sight of the hurt in his eyes made her chest tighten. She had only wanted him to rest. Instead, she ended up hurting him. Lowering her gaze, guilt weighing heavy on her heart, she murmured, Sejanbe, I'm sorry. Sejanbe blinked, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. Sheng Fenghua had just apologized to him, something he hadn't expected. For a moment, he was at a loss for words. Seeing his silence, Sheng Fenghua panicked slightly, assuming he was still upset. She quickly added, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to annoy you. I was afraid you wouldn't be able to rest properly here. She rushed out the words in a single breath, then lowered her head, shame written all over her face. Frustration simmered in her chest. Why had she said something so thoughtless? Stupid pig brain. She scolded herself silently. Great. Now he's really angry, she thought with a sigh. Lost in self-blame, she didn't even realize that Sejanbe had stepped closer. Were you worried about me? His voice was low, deep, and tinged with surprise, but also a warmth she didn't expect. She snapped her head up, startled, only to find his eyes looking at her with a soft smile. Her instinct was to deny it, to shake her head. But halfway through, she caught herself and frowned. You're my husband, she said defensively, her tone sharp with embarrassment. Why wouldn't I worry? Then, as if realizing she had exposed too much of her heart, she quickly looked away. She couldn't bring herself to meet his eyes, afraid she'd see mockery or disdain. But it never came. Instead, Sejanbe chuckled quietly, and the look he gave her was full of warmth and something even deeper, tenderness. No, nothing's wrong, he said, still smiling gently. She's really worried about me, he thought, amazed. My little wife. His heart swelled. She had surprised him today, again and again. First with her boldness, and now with her concern. It felt almost dreamlike. Was this really the same girl he had married? What are you laughing at? Sheng Fenghua snapped, her cheeks flushed. She glared up at him, assuming the worst, that he was mocking her. Of course, he must be. She was just a country girl, not worthy of someone like him. Their marriage had always felt like a mystery to her. She remembered Li Chuanxiang's words. If that hadn't happened, something had forced this union, she was sure of it. And now, she was certain he regretted it. But Si Zhanbei's laughter stopped, and his smile softened. I'm not laughing at you, he said gently. I'm just happy. That stunned her. Happy, she echoed blankly. Why? Because I said I was worried? Could it really mean that much? But halfway through the thought, she caught herself. Don't overthink. Don't set yourself up for disappointment. Outwardly, she remained quiet. Inside, her heart beat a little faster. Si Zhanbei sat back on the edge of her bed, eyes bright and fixed on her. Yes, I'm happy because you're worried about me. That means something to me. Sheng Fenghua didn't know how to respond. To her, it was nothing. But to Si Zhanbei, her concern was a sign, a bridge being built between them, a quiet beginning to something more. One had to know that previously, not only was Sheng Fenghua worried about him, she wasn't even willing to talk to him. She even wished that she could get as far away from him as possible. Si Zhanbei was really overjoyed in his heart. The smile on his face almost blinded Sheng Fenghua's eyes. Usually, Si Zhanbei had an ice-cold appearance, giving people a feeling of not letting anyone get close to him. Now that he smiled, his whole person became bright and sunny, making people unable to help but want to indulge in it. Sheng Fenghua could not help but become infatuated. She looked at Si Zhanbei's face with infatuation, and an urge to pounce on him surged in her heart. Si Zhanbei was looking at Sheng Fenghua. When he saw her infatuated gaze, not only was he not angry, but he was secretly happy in his heart. If it was in the past, if others looked at him like this, he would definitely throw them out without saying a word and throw them far away. Once, there was a woman who looked at him like that, but he threw her until her leg broke. But now, the person who looked at him was Sheng Fenghua. He actually did not feel the slightest bit of disgust. Instead, he was very happy. This feeling made Si Zhanbei feel novel. He deliberately put his face in front of Sheng Fenghua and asked, "Do I look good?" "Yes," Sheng Fenghua replied without thinking. "Do you like it?" Si Zhanbei asked again. "I like it." Sheng Fenghua heard a chuckle as soon as the two simple words fell. It was Si Zhanbei laughing. He was very happy that his face could make Sheng Fenghua infatuated. He was also very happy that Sheng Fenghua thought he was good-looking and even happier that she said she liked him. Sheng Fenghua only came back to her senses when she heard the laughter. She remembered what she had just done and said. She could not help but blush and quickly looked away, not daring to look at Si Zhanbei again. Unexpectedly, she turned her head. Si Zhanbei also turned his head and put his face in front of her. He smiled and said, "If you like him, just look at him a little longer. I won't mind." As soon as these words were said, Sheng Fenghua became even more embarrassed. Her face was burning badly. How could she still dare to look at him? She wished she could find a hole to hide in. What did he mean by he wouldn't mind? If he did, what would one do look back? Sheng Fenghua thought about this question and felt a little confused. Stop. Her thoughts seemed to have been led astray by Si Zhanbei unknowingly. Si Zhanbei originally wanted to say something more, but when he saw Sheng Fenghua's bright red face, the words that were about to come out of his mouth were directly stuck. He stared at her in a daze. It wasn't the first time he looked at his little wife, but it was the first time he felt that his little wife was so beautiful and moving. Her bright red face was like a ripe peach, making him want to take a bite. Out of the blue, Si Zhanbei approached Sheng Fenghua's face bit by bit. Just as he was about to kiss her face, Sheng Fenghua suddenly raised her head. Her sudden movement startled Si Zhanbei, and he quickly turned his head away, looking guilty. He was so close to kissing Sheng Fenghua's face. What a pity! Sheng Fenghua had lowered her head earlier and had no idea what Si Zhanbei had done. So when she saw him turn his head so quickly, she was very confused. However, she did not ask any more questions. Instead, she brought up the topic of letting him go back to rest and said, "Si Bei, it's really late. You really should go back and rest." When he heard Sheng Fenghua call him by his first name, Si Bei frowned and said, "Change it." Sheng Fenghua looked at him in confusion. What change? She did not understand at all. "Change your name," Si Bei explained when he saw Sheng Fenghua's puzzled look. To be honest, he did not like Sheng Fenghua calling him by his first name, making the two of them look like strangers. What? Sheng Fenghua still did not hear him clearly, or she did not think that Si Bei would care about this problem. Si Bei glanced at Sheng Fenghua indifferently and did not repeat what he just said. Instead, he said directly, "Hubby," or Bei, "choose one yourself." "Hubby." Sheng Fenghua was completely following Si Bei's words. Unexpectedly, Si Bei directly said, "Okay, hubby, call me that from now on." Sheng Fenghua looked at Si Bei and was speechless. She had not even thought about how to call him good or bad. He actually directly made the decision. Was there such an overbearing person? However, for such a matter, Sheng Fenghua did not want to compete with him. After all, how to call him was still up to her. Therefore, this topic was temporarily skipped. Sheng Fenghua once again urged Si Bei to leave. Let's go, let's go. If we don't leave soon, it will be midnight." "Isn't that just right?" Si Bei replied indifferently. He did not want to leave at all. It was rare for his little wife to be willing to talk to him. It would be strange if he was willing to leave. "What do you mean by that? Don't tell me you really intend to stay?" Sheng Fenghua looked at Si Bei in shock. Whether it was from his expression or his demeanor, he had no intention of leaving. Was he really going to stay? Someone was keeping vigil for her, and that person was still her husband. Sheng Fenghua was naturally happy. But when she thought about how he was such a big man and would have to sit on a chair to sleep later, she felt uneasy. Could it be that she really wanted to share half of the bed with him? Just as this thought appeared in her mind, Sheng Fenghua could not help but blush. Speaking of which, she had lived for 2 lifetimes, but she had never had the experience of sharing a bed with a man. Moreover, this bed was so small, could it really sleep 2 people? Si Bei looked at his little wife, frowning at one moment and blushing at the other. He could not help but raise his eyebrows and secretly guess what she was thinking. Why did she have such an expression? If Si Bei knew that Sheng Fenghua was thinking about the size of the bed, he would definitely be overjoyed. However, he did not know at this moment. So when he saw Sheng Fenghua's conflicted look, he could not help but become curious. After thinking for a long time, Sheng Fenghua could not resist the unbearable feeling in her heart and said to Si Bei, "Since you don't want to go back then, you can stay." Si Bei's eyes lit up. He looked at Sheng Fenghua with burning eyes and softly said, "Okay." Sheng Fenghua heard Si Bei's reply and looked up at him. She could not bring herself to say the words of giving him half of the bed. In the end, her face was so red that it was beyond recognition, but she still could not say it out loud. However, she lay down on the bed and deliberately moved to the side. Si Bei was waiting for Sheng Fenghua's words when he suddenly saw her lying down. He was feeling dejected when he realized that she had deliberately given up some space. The disappointment in his eyes was instantly replaced by surprise and joy. Happiness came too quickly and too suddenly. Si Bei could no longer find words to describe his feelings. However, the gaze he was looking at Sheng Fenghua with became more and more passionate. Sheng Fenghua became more and more embarrassed under such a strong gaze. In order to block Si Bei's gaze that seemed to burn her up, she directly pulled up the blanket and covered her head. However, his head was covered, but his face was hot. Si Bei looked at Sheng Fenghua's childish actions and could not help but chuckle. Then he sat down on the edge of the bed, reached out to lift the blanket covering her face, and said softly, "Don't be so stuffy." "It's none of your business," Sheng Fenghua said snappily, and then turned her body awkwardly, no longer paying attention to Si Bei. Looking at his little wife, who was throwing a tantrum, Si Bei shook his head and then lay down on the side. This was the first time they shared a bed, and under such circumstances, both Sheng Fenghua and Si Bei's hearts were not at peace. Si Jianbei wanted to reach out and hug his little wife in his arms, but he was afraid that she would be angry. As for Sheng Fenghua, she hoped that Si Jianbei would be closer to her, but she was also a little afraid. Thus, the two of them lay on the bed with their own thoughts. Neither of them could fall asleep, but neither of them spoke to break the silence. Time passed bit by bit. Si Jianbei lay on the bed, not daring to move. His body was extremely stiff. Sheng Fenghua was the same. Because Si Jianbei was sleeping beside her, she did not even dare to turn over. Sheng Fenghua's body was originally relatively weak. Although the injuries on her body were no longer a problem, her delicate and soft body had been maintaining a posture. It was quite tiring after a long time. In the end, she really could not take it anymore, so she tried to turn over. Si Jianbei, who originally thought that Sheng Fenghua was asleep, heard the sound of her turning over, and his body became even stiffer. He was both worried and apprehensive. He was worried that the bed was too small and Sheng Fenghua would make contact with his body if she turned over. He was also anxious. If the two of them made contact, what would he do? However, Si Jianbei's worry was unnecessary. Sheng Fenghua knew that the bed was small and that she was awake, so when she turned over, she deliberately reduced the angle, so she did not touch Si Jianbei's body at all. As a result, Si Jianbei was disappointed again. He actually wanted to turn around and look at his little wife to see if she had fallen asleep, but he was also worried that she would discover his little thoughts. Sheng Fenghua, who had turned around, suddenly felt extremely comfortable. She did not know that Si Jianbei was not asleep yet, nor did she know the torment in his heart. She closed her eyes and gradually entered a dream. Si Jianbei had been paying attention to the movements around him until he heard the sound of Sheng Fenghua's uniform breathing. Only then did he dare to turn around gently and look at her. Looking at Sheng Fenghua's quiet sleeping face, Si Jianbei's eyes were filled with a gentle light. He reached out his hand, wanting to gently describe her appearance, but he was afraid of waking her up. He tried his best to control the emotions that surged in his heart, to control the urge to touch her, but in the end he could not control it. He reached out his hand towards Sheng Fenghua's beautiful and peaceful face. Si Jianbei's movements were very gentle, like a feather gently brushing across Sheng Fenghua's face, causing her to furrow her brows in discomfort. Seeing Sheng Fenghua furrow her brows, Si Jianbei was shocked and quickly withdrew his hand. After withdrawing his hand, Si Jianbei waited quietly for a while. Seeing that Sheng Fenghua did not wake up, he heaved a sigh of relief. He relaxed his entire body and lay down quietly. However, he did not lie down for a while before his heart started to stir again. He turned his body sideways again, and his gaze fell on Sheng Fenghua's delicate lips. He reached out his hand and gestured. Then, he lightly touched her lips and left as if he was electrocuted. Then, he repeated the same trick and touched Sheng Fenghua's lips a few times. After she did not respond, her courage gradually grew. He straightened his body slightly and lowered his head to kiss Sheng Fenghua's lips. At this moment, in the family compound of the military district, after Li Chunmei returned from school, she heard that Bai Feifei had gone to the hospital to visit Sheng Fenghua, and she was a little out of it. She was still quite frightened by the incident of Sheng Fenghua falling down the stairs. Although she had never liked Sheng Fenghua and had always been against her, she had only enjoyed talking about it and had never thought of doing anything to her. However, what happened yesterday had scared her to death. Although she didn't mean it, the incident of Sheng Fenghua falling down the stairs was still related to her. At that time, she was so scared and panicked, but Bai Feifei comforted her and said that she was fine, so she recovered a little. Later, she and Bai Feifei sent Sheng Fenghua to the hospital. The doctor told her that Sheng Fenghua's injuries were more serious, so she was scared again. She was afraid that Sheng Fenghua would meet her, so she left in a hurry. Until now, she didn't dare to go to the hospital to see Sheng Fenghua, because she was afraid that Sheng Fenghua would make her responsible. Although she was a teacher now, and her husband, Song Chung, also had an allowance, it wasn't high. Usually, they were frugal and did not want to spend a single cent more. But yesterday, when Sheng Fenghua was hospitalized, she spent 5 to 600 yuan. This was her salary for more than a month. How could she not be afraid? Normally, when faced with such a situation, Li Chunmei should have found someone to discuss it with. However, her husband, Song Chung, was out on a mission and was not at home. She did not even have someone to discuss it with. These 2 days, she had been avoiding this problem. She did not go to see Sheng Fenghua. Other than going to work, she did not dare to go out much for fear of being criticized. But now, Si Zhanbei had returned. The first thing he did was to go to the hospital to see Sheng Fenghua. He did not even come back at night. It was obvious that he did not hate Sheng Fenghua as much as everyone thought. If he wanted to stand up for Sheng Fenghua, what should she do? Also, Bai Feifei had gone to see Sheng Fenghua today, but she did not go. What would people say about her? Thinking about these questions, Li Chunmei could not fall asleep the whole night. Bai Feifei could not fall asleep like her. Today, she went to see Sheng Fenghua. In fact, she was going to see Si Zhanbei. She originally thought that she was going to show off and trample on Sheng Fenghua. But unexpectedly, Sheng Fenghua, who had fallen, actually opened her eyes and actually stepped on her. Damn woman! Bai Feifei cursed in a low voice. Thinking of how she called Si Zhanbei husband, she felt bad. Why? Si Zhanbei was obviously the man she had taken a liking to first. Why did Sheng Fenghua have to marry him? She was just a girl from the countryside. Why did she have to steal her man? No, Si Zhanbei was hers. He could only be hers. She had to kick Sheng Fenghua away and take Si Zhanbei back. Bai Feifei thought bitterly, her face twisted. In the hospital, Sheng Fenghua had a good sleep. When she woke up, the sky was already bright. She moved her body and wanted to relax. However, when she moved, she noticed something strange. She was shocked and sat up. Her movements were a little big and woke up Si Zhanbei, who had fallen asleep just before dawn. What's wrong? What happened? Si Zhanbei opened his eyes and looked at the shocked Sheng Fenghua. He frowned and asked. Sheng Fenghua looked at Si Zhanbei in a daze and did not react for a long time. The reason why she acted so aggressively just now was because she was scared when she realized that there was another man beside her. Now, looking at Si Zhanbei's familiar face, she finally remembered what happened last night and could not help but feel a little awkward. Indeed, her reaction just now was a little too big. I'm fine. Sheng Fenghua shook her head and got out of bed to wash up. Si Zhanbei glanced at Sheng Fenghua and got out of bed as well. Although he didn't sleep well last night and was woken up by Sheng Fenghua today, he was still in good spirits, especially when he thought of what he had done secretly after Sheng Fenghua fell asleep last night. He felt even happier. Although he had done it secretly, he had finally kissed her. When he thought of this, he was overjoyed. When Sheng Fenghua came out of the washroom and saw Si Zhanbei smiling foolishly, she was a little confused. She was thinking, what happened to him? Why did he look so happy that he was dumbfounded? Did something happen that she did not know about? However, although she was a little curious, Sheng Fenghua did not ask further. Instead, she said, since you're up, go wash up. When the doctor comes, we'll be discharged. Okay. Si Zhanbei responded, took the towel from Sheng Fenghua's hand and went straight to wash up. Only when the towel in his hand was gone did Sheng Fenghua react. Her face couldn't help but turn red. He actually used her towel. When she thought about how they slept in the same bed last night, she became even more shy. So, she felt embarrassed to stay in the room any longer and directly opened the door and went out. When Si Zhanbei finished washing up and came out, there was no sign of Sheng Fenghua in the room. He couldn't help but be shocked. He threw the towel and his hand away and left the ward. After leaving the ward, there was still no sign of Sheng Fenghua. Fenghua, Fenghua, Sheng Fenghua. He shouted Sheng Fenghua's name as he ran. Sheng Fenghua, who had just walked down the stairs, heard Si Zhanbei shout and could not help but be stunned. She stopped and replied, I'm here. Sheng Fenghua's reply made Si Zhanbei speed up. He almost rushed to her. When he saw that she was fine, he was relieved and asked, Why did you come out? It's too stuffy in the ward. I came out to get some air, Sheng Fenghua replied softly. When she saw Si Jianbei's anxious look, she could not help but feel warm in her heart and said, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." Although she had changed into a new body, her skills were still there. Ordinary people could not hurt her at all. However, Si Jianbei's concern for her made her a little surprised and touched. To be honest, in her past life, she had lived for more than 20 years. She had always treated herself as a man. Perhaps it could be said that she was a man. She had always taken responsibility for her own problems and dealt with them herself. In addition, she had good skills, good marksmanship, and medical skills. Therefore, in the entire organization, even her best friend, Feng Qing, had never worried about her. As for her, she had long forgotten the feeling of being worried by others. Si Jianbei did not say anything. He nodded and looked at Sheng Fenghua deeply before saying, "Since we're out, let's eat breakfast before going back." Okay. Sheng Fenghua did not object. She did not like to eat in the ward. Now that she could eat outside, she was naturally happy. Therefore, the two of them went downstairs together and headed to the hospital's cafeteria. After finding a seat and sitting down, Si Jianbei first asked Sheng Fenghua what she wanted to eat before he went to buy 2 sets of breakfast. As she ate breakfast and looked at Si Jianbei's handsome face, Sheng Fenghua finally understood one word: beautiful and delicious. In Sheng Fenghua's eyes, Si Jianbei was the most handsome man she had ever seen and also the most powerful man. That was why she fell in love at first sight and would never forget him. If you don't eat soon, your breakfast will be cold. Si Jianbei could not help but remind Sheng Fenghua when he saw that she was only looking at him in a daze. Although he enjoyed Sheng Fenghua's infatuation with him, he could not bear for her to starve. Moreover, he was her husband. He could look at her any time he wanted. Sheng Fenghua only came back to her senses when she heard this. She could not help but blush when she saw the smiling eyes of Si Jianbei. Then, she quickly lowered her head and ate her breakfast. Si Jianbei looked at Sheng Fenghua, and the smile on his face deepened. His eyes were filled with tenderness. However, Sheng Fenghua was eating with her head down and did not see him at all. On the contrary, the person who was eating breakfast at the side could not help but be stunned. However, Si Jianbei noticed it and swept his sharp eyes over. The other party quickly averted her gaze. Sheng Fenghua quickly finished her breakfast. When she saw that it was almost time, she returned to the ward with Si Jianbei. "Wait here, I'll go and do the procedures." Si Jianbei instructed before looking for the doctor to go and get the discharge renewal. Because he had already said that he was going to be discharged yesterday afternoon, the procedures were also done very quickly. After half an hour, Si Jianbei returned to the ward and said to Sheng Fenghua, "Let's go, we can go home." Once she heard that they could leave, Sheng Fenghua did not say anything else. She picked up the things that she had just packed and prepared to leave. "Let me do it." Si Jianbei looked at her carrying the things and reached out to take them. Sheng Fenghua did not stand on ceremony. She let Si Jianbei carry the things and followed him out of the hospital. Once they were out of the hospital, Sheng Fenghua felt that the air was much fresher. Although she was a doctor in her previous life, she did not really like the atmosphere in the hospital. It was too gloomy. There was a bus that went directly to the army at the entrance of the hospital. After the two of them sat on it, they returned to the army in less than half an hour and returned to their home. "Commander C, you're back." "Hello, Commander C." "Commander C, you're back." "Commander C, you didn't go to work today." When they saw Si Jianbei, the people from the family courtyard greeted him warmly. As for Sheng Fenghua, who was walking behind her, no one asked. Seeing this situation, Si Jianbei frowned unhappily. He turned his head and glanced at Sheng Fenghua, a worried look flashing in his eyes. He knew that Sheng Fenghua did not have a good relationship with the family courtyard, but he did not expect it to be so bad. "I'm fine." Sheng Fenghua knew that Si Jianbei was worried about her. She could not help but smile and shake her head, indicating that she was fine. This was a problem left behind by her predecessor, and she would slowly solve it. Si Jianbei did not say anything more. He went up to the 3rd floor, took out the key, and opened the door to his home. The home was still the same as when Sheng Fenghua left. It was not packed, and things were a little messy. Yesterday, Si Jianbei only came back to change his clothes and went to the hospital. At this moment, his dirty clothes were still in the basin. Sheng Fenghua looked around her new home and said to Si Jianbei, "I want to take a bath." She was a clean and secluded person. She had not taken a bath in the hospital for the past 2 days, so she felt extremely uncomfortable. Therefore, the first thing she wanted to do when she went home was to take a good bath. "Okay, I'll go and boil the water for you," Si Jianbei replied, and then went into the kitchen to boil the water. Sheng Fenghua watched Si Jianbei enter the kitchen and then went back to her room to take out the change of clothes. There was a 1.5-meter double bed in the room, but only Si Jianbei slept alone. Speaking of which, Si Jianbei had once thought of sharing a bed with Si Jianbei. However, he did not know why Si Jianbei was unwilling to share a bed with him. Moreover, when he saw Si Jianbei enter the room, he was so frightened that his entire body trembled. With no other choice, Si Jianbei could only go next door and sleep on a small bed. Speaking of this, Sheng Fenghua still felt very guilty. Si Jianbei was tall and big, but he slept on a small bed while she monopolized this big bed. Sheng Fenghua sat down on the bed and looked around the room. The furnishings were very simple. There was a table, a stool, and a wardrobe. There were also a few books on the table, all about military affairs. It was obvious that these were Si Jianbei's books. After sitting for a while, Sheng Fenghua got up and went to the wardrobe to get some clothes. She opened the wardrobe, but there were not many clothes. Moreover, the styles were very old. Looking at these clothes, Sheng Fenghua could not help but think of the time when her predecessor had just arrived. Si Jianbei had also said that he would bring her to buy clothes, but the original owner did not want to go, so she never went. Now it seemed that she had to find some time to buy a few sets of clothes. Otherwise, the clothes in the wardrobe would not be able to fit her. However, she did not have any other clothes now, so she could only make do with it. Therefore, Sheng Fenghua picked a light blue shirt and a pair of black pants, took her underwear, and left the room to go to the bathroom. As soon as she entered the bathroom and looked at the clothes in the basin, Sheng Fenghua's gaze paused. She remembered that Si Jianbei had just returned from a mission yesterday, and then went to the hospital to take care of her, so she understood why he didn't wash the clothes. Si Jianbei came out of the kitchen and saw that Sheng Fenghua's gaze fell on his clothes. He thought that she felt that he didn't wash the clothes, so he said, "I'll wash the clothes in a while." Sheng Fenghua was stunned when she heard that and turned to look at him. After a long while, she remembered that the original owner and Si Jianbei always washed their own clothes. Thinking of this and thinking of his performance in the hospital yesterday, Sheng Fenghua felt that she should do something to thank him. So, she waved her hand and said, "It's okay. After I take a shower, we'll take a shower together." This time, it was Si Jianbei who was stunned. He looked at Sheng Fenghua in a daze, and the surprise in his eyes disappeared. He was in high spirits and asked, "You want to help me wash my clothes?" "What's wrong?" Sheng Fenghua asked back. "Isn't it just washing clothes? She still knows how to do it." "No, nothing," Si Jianbei said quickly. His heart was already filled with the fact that Sheng Fenghua wanted to help him wash his clothes. If he was skeptical about Sheng Fenghua's change yesterday, then today he was 100% sure that she really had changed. He liked this kind of change. Si Jianbei, who came back to his senses, looked at Sheng Fenghua with a gentler gaze. However, when he thought about Sheng Fenghua's injury, he said, "I'll wash it. Your body hasn't fully recovered yet. It's the same if you help me wash it after you recover." Since Si Jianbei had said so, Sheng Fenghua did not say anything more. There was still time in the future. She did not want to have such a meaningless argument with him. Since he wanted to wash it himself, she would not stop him. With this thought, Sheng Fenghua left the bathroom. She looked at the messy living room and started to clean it up. At this time, Si Jianbei went to wash his clothes and basked them on the balcony. After a short while, the water was ready and the living room was almost cleaned up by Sheng Fenghua. Seeing that the living room was obviously pleasing to the eye, Sheng Fenghua clapped her hands in satisfaction. Then, she took a bucket and went into the kitchen to pour the water. After pouring the water, she was about to take a bath when a big hand reached out from the side. Si Jianbei's voice was heard. Let me carry it. Thank you. Sheng Fenghua thanked him and followed behind Si Zhanbei. Si Zhanbei's voice rang in her ears again. In the future, I'll do this kind of work. Okay. Sheng Fenghua agreed. She was not a pretentious person. She would not refuse someone to help her with the work. Moreover, that person was her husband, so she would not object. After helping Sheng Fenghua carry the water to the bathroom, Si Zhanbei left. After closing the door, Sheng Fenghua took a comfortable hot bath. Outside the door, Si Zhanbei looked at the clean and tidy living room, and his eyes flashed with surprise again. In the past, Sheng Fenghua would also clean up, but she always thought it was a perfunctory task. There had never been a time when it was as clean and tidy as now. It was truly like the living room, like a home. Seeing the trash placed by the door, Si Zhanbei slowly curved his lips, took a key, and carried the trash out of the door. The news of Sheng Fenghua and Si Zhanbei coming back together soon spread throughout the courtyard. Li Chunmei also heard the news and was hesitating at home whether she should visit them or not. In the end, after thinking for a while, Li Chunmei decided to take a look. No matter how much she disliked Sheng Fenghua in her heart, no matter how much she did not want to visit her, she did not think that her reputation would be affected because of this incident. After all, rumors had already spread that she did not go to the hospital to visit Sheng Fenghua. If she did not do anything, the good image that she had previously created would be completely destroyed. Moreover, Si Zhanbei was also involved. Others might not know, but she knew that Si Zhanbei had a big background. Li Chunmei quickly carried her things upstairs. She lived on the second floor, just below Sheng Fenghua and the others. Soon, she arrived at the door of Sheng Fenghua's house. She hesitated for a while before raising her hand to knock on the door. Sheng Fenghua was washing clothes, and the sound of water drowned out the knocking on the door. Si Zhanbei went to take out the trash, but he didn't come back. So Li Chunmei knocked for a long time, but no one answered or opened the door. As a result, she couldn't help but get angry. Her face turned cold, and she scolded, "Are you deaf? You knocked for a long time, but you still didn't answer. Humph, it's not that I didn't come to see you. It's that you didn't open the door yourself." As she said that, she turned around and was about to leave. Unexpectedly, when she turned around, she saw Si Zhanbei standing behind her. Her face could not help but turn pale as she said awkwardly, "Si, Battalion Commander Si, you're not at home?" "Sister-in-law, Chunmei," Si Zhanbei called out lightly. He had heard Li Chunmei's words clearly just now. Only then did he realize that this sister-in-law, who had a good relationship with people and a good reputation, was originally like this. It seemed that they had all been deceived by her. No wonder when he had asked Sheng Fenghua to move around with her in the past, Sheng Fenghua was not willing. It turned out that she was the same as others. "What's the matter?" Si Zhanbei asked indifferently, as if he did not see Li Chunmei's awkwardness. "I heard that Fenghua is back. I can take a look." Li Chunmei was indeed a well-rounded person. Although she had been caught by Si Zhanbei, she was only embarrassed for a moment and quickly returned to normal. "Come in." Si Zhanbei glanced at Li Chunmei and opened the door. In the room, Sheng Fenghua had just finished washing her clothes and was about to take them out to dry when she saw Si Zhanbei bring a woman in. She could not help but narrow her eyes and look at the other party. When she recognized that he was one of the culprits who caused her predecessor to fall down the stairs and die, her gaze could not help but turn cold. Very good. She had not even had the time to look for him, and he actually came to her door of his own accord. Today, she had to properly avenge her original body. "Sister-in-law Chunmei is here?" Sheng Fenghua quickly smiled and said, "Take a seat first. I'm going to dry my clothes." When Li Chunmei saw Sheng Fenghua's smiling face, she immediately looked as if she had seen a ghost. When she heard her call her sister-in-law Chunmei again, she was even more shocked. Did she see wrongly? Was this person really Sheng Fenghua? Why did she feel like the sun had risen from the west? "Well, I came to see you." Being swept by Si Zhanbei's sharp eyes, Li Chunmei quickly withdrew her shocked gaze and walked to the living room sofa to sit down. Sheng Fenghua carried her clothes to the corridor and started drying them, while Si Zhanbei poured a glass of water for Li Chunmei. While waiting for Shang Fenghua to finish drying her clothes, Li Chunmei was a little bored and didn't dare to speak to Si Zhanbei. After all, she was still a little embarrassed after being caught saying those words at the door. Hence, after she picked up the teacup and drank a mouthful of water, she looked around the entire living room. Speaking of which, it wasn't her first time entering the SI family's living room. When Shang Fenghua first came, she came once with other military wives. But that time, she had thought that Shang Fenghua was a lazy person because the living room was messy. But now, it seemed that the living room had been tidied up very neatly. The things were arranged very well, and the decorations were neat. At a glance, it was obvious that it was very convenient to take anything. This made her very surprised. She thought that Si Zhanbei had tidied it up, so she asked, "Battalion Commander Si, you're quite good at tidying up. Look at how clean this living room has been. If my husband could be like you, I would wake up laughing in my dreams." Li Chunmei's husband, Song Chung, had never liked to do housework. Even if the oil bottle in the house fell, he would not help it. It was conceivable that after Li Chunmei suspected that Si Zhanbei was the one who cleaned up the living room, her heart was filled with jealousy and hatred. However, Si Zhanbei shook his head and said, "Sister-in-law misunderstood. Fenghua is the one who cleaned up the house." "What? It can't be?" Li Chunmei's face was full of surprise, and her voice became sharper. At this moment, Shang Fenghua came in after drying her clothes and asked, "What can't be?" "No, it's nothing," Li Chunmei replied quickly, wanting to bring this matter up. Unfortunately, Si Zhanbei would not let her get what she wanted. Previously, he had yet to settle the matter of Shang Fenghua falling down the stairs with her. Just now at the door, he caught her scolding Shang Fenghua for being deaf. Adding up the two debts, it would not be so easy. So, she looked at Shang Fenghua and said with a smile, "Sister-in-law Chunmei, I don't believe that you're the one who tidies up this house. What's the big deal? I still do things like tidying up and doing housework. Sister-in-law Chunmei, don't tell me you think that I'm an idle person who doesn't know how to do anything." Shang Fenghua sat down opposite Li Chunmei and spoke up against her. Humph! Her predecessor was a soft bag, but she wasn't. Her predecessor had a temper of enduring everything, but she wouldn't either. "Look at what you're saying. How could it be?" Li Chunmei's face burned up. Even if she thought so in her heart, she didn't dare to admit it in front of the husband and wife. Shang Fenghua smiled as if he didn't see Li Chunmei's awkwardness and asked, "By the way, sister-in-law Chunmei, why did you come to my house? I heard that you were discharged from the hospital, so I came to see you." Li Chunmei told him her purpose of coming. In fact, her main purpose was to probe Shang Fenghua and see if she would let her take responsibility. Hearing that Li Chunmei came to see her, Shang Fenghua showed a grateful look and said, "Thank you, sister-in-law. You miss me so much." Of course, of course." Li Chunmei was smiling, but when she heard Shang Fenghua's words, the smile on her face suddenly froze. Shang Fenghua said, "Sister-in-law, since you came to see me, did you bring my medical fees? Speaking of which, I fell and was hospitalized because of sister-in-law." After saying that, seeing that Li Chunmei's expression was not right, Shang Fenghua secretly laughed in her heart, but her face did not show it. She continued, "What? Sister-in-law didn't come empty-handed, right? If that's the case, then I will go back with you to get it later." "All right, hubby, go and get the medical bill. Let sister-in-law take a look at it, so that sister-in-law won't worry that we'll ask for too much." "Okay." Si Zhanbei nodded and stood up. Since Shang Fenghua had said that she would handle this matter, then she would directly hand it over to her to handle. Seeing that Si Zhanbei had really gone to get the bill, Li Chunmei did not know whether to sit or leave. She was originally just here to probe for information, but she did not expect Shang Fenghua to be so direct. This left her with no room for maneuver. It was just a list. It wouldn't take long, but Li Chunmei felt as if time was passing like years. Si Zhanbei handed the list to Shang Fenghua. Shang Fenghua took a look at it and stuffed it into Li Chunmei's hand. "Sister-in-law Chunmei, take a look. This is all the cost of my hospitalization. As you know, I'm from the countryside and I don't have any money on me. And this is because of you, so I'll have to trouble you with the medical expenses. This, seeing that the amount on the list was more than she had estimated, Li Chunmei felt terrible. With an extremely ugly expression, she took the list and wanted to return it to Sheng Fenghua. However, she heard her say, "Sister-in-law, you don't have to return this list to me. Just give me the money." After saying that, Sheng Fenghua looked at the clock on the wall. It was already past 9 o'clock. If she didn't go to buy groceries, she would have to go to the market. Hence, she pulled Li Chunmei to stand up. She said, "Sister-in-law, shall I go back with you to get the money? Later, I still have to go to the market to buy some groceries. There's nothing to eat in this house. Sister-in-law definitely wouldn't want you to go to your house for dinner, right?" Facing such a direct Sheng Fenghua, what else could Li Chunmei say? Other than being angry, she couldn't do anything else. Sheng Fenghua didn't care about her so much. She directly pulled her out of the door, then winked at Si Zhanbei, who had been looking at her, and went downstairs. It wasn't until she stood at the door of her own house that Li Chunmei came back to her senses. Then she looked at Sheng Fenghua and said, "Sister Fenghua, look at this." Seeing that Li Chunmei didn't want to get the money, Sheng Fenghua wouldn't let her get what she wanted. She deliberately said loudly, "Sister-in-law Chunmei, it's fine if I don't go in. Bring the medical fees over. I'll wait at the door." At this time, many people in the family courtyard heard the commotion outside. Many people opened the door and poked their heads out to see the situation. Sheng Fenghua curled her lips into a smile and nodded to the person who opened the door. Then she said with a smile, "Didn't I fall down the stairs yesterday?" Sister-in-law Chunmei said that she would be responsible and asked me to take the medical fees. With just one sentence, the cause and effect were clearly explained. The people who opened the door couldn't help but nod and said, "Sister-in-law Chunmei did this perfectly. Although it was an unintentional mistake, the responsibility has to be borne." Who says it isn't? Sister-in-law Chunmei's character is well known in our family's courtyard. That's right. Sister-in-law Chunmei is definitely a role model for all of us. After being praised by everyone, Li Chunmei's expression became even uglier. She reached out her hand to pull Sheng Fenghua into the house. However, Sheng Fenghua stood still and said, "Sister-in-law Chunmei, I won't go in to drink tea. I still have to go shopping later." Li Chunmei glared fiercely at Sheng Fenghua. She knew that she could not avoid this matter, so she could only reluctantly go back to her room to get the money. After taking out the money, she stuffed it into Sheng Fenghua's hand and said, "It's getting late. Go and buy some vegetables." However, Sheng Fenghua looked at her with a faint smile and then said loudly, "There's no rush. There's still time to count the money." As she said this, she began to count in front of everyone, which made Li Chunmei's face turn ugly again. The money she took was simply not enough. She only took some small change. She thought that Sheng Fenghua would leave after receiving the money. This way, even if Sheng Fenghua later found out that she was short of money, she wouldn't be able to ask her for more. After all, she gave it to Sheng Fenghua in front of everyone. But now, Sheng Fenghua was counting money in front of everyone as she counted. She said, "Sister-in-law Chunmei, this money of yours is too small. I have to count it properly so that I don't lose 1 or 2 bills. The medical fees are a few hundred, but it's our village's half a year's income." Li Chunmei glared at Sheng Fenghua and gnashed her teeth. She couldn't understand. In the past, Sheng Fenghua hated people saying that she came from the village. Why did she take the initiative to mention it now? While she was still angry, Sheng Fenghua had already counted the money and said, "Sister-in-law, Chunmei, did you take the wrong money? This is only small change." "What? Only small change?" Li Chunmei's old face turned red and pretended to be ignorant. She reached out and took the money back from Sheng Fenghua's hand and said, "I'll count it again." Then, she counted it randomly, turned around, and quickly went back into the house. At this time, those who were watching the show finally saw something. They thought to themselves, and the way they looked at Sheng Fenghua changed. In the past, because of Li Chunmei and Bai Feifei, they looked down on Sheng Fenghua and thought that she was lucky to marry Battalion Commander C. In addition, Sheng Fenghua was as timid as a mouse. She lowered her head every day and even her voice was as soft as a mosquito, so everyone disliked her even more. But today, they saw a different Sheng Fenghua. They couldn't help but have a question in their hearts. This Sheng Fenghua had changed too much. They couldn't tell that she had actually let sister-in-law Chun Mei, who had never suffered a loss before, suffer a loss. This was the world's greatest miracle. One had to know that in this family courtyard, sister-in-law Chun Mei was a teacher. She had a good job, and her mouth could talk. She was also a good person. Everyone praised her, but no one had ever dared to slap her face in public like Sheng Fenghua. However, after this incident, everyone realized that sister-in-law Chun Mei was not as good as they had imagined, especially the matter of taking less medical fees. Since she had agreed, why did she have to pay less? If Sheng Fenghua had not counted in public, she would have had to suffer this loss. Sheng Fenghua did not care what other people thought. She had never thought about how to integrate into these military wives. She had her own life plan and her own things to do. She did not have time to pretend to be harmonious with these people. However, when she saw everyone's eyes on her, she returned a smile. This time, Li Chunmei stayed in the room for a longer time. She did not want to give so much money to Sheng Fenghua at all, but when she thought about how she did not follow the rules, she was afraid that she would lose face again. After hesitating for so long, when she took out the money again, more than 10 minutes had passed. Sheng Fenghua was getting impatient from waiting. If she did not come out now, she would probably be in a hurry. Here, Li Chunmei angrily stuffed the money back into Sheng Fenghua's hands and glared at her, as if she had been poisoned. If it had been her predecessor, she might have been afraid of such a gaze and left with the money. However, she was not her predecessor. She would not even blink in the face of the enemy's weapons, let alone such a gaze. Therefore, she directly ignored Li Chunmei's gaze and began to count the money again in public. Fortunately, this time, Li Chunmei was tactful and did not take less money. Sheng Fenghua let her go and waved the hand that was holding the money, saying, "This time, you're right." Then, sister-in-law Chunmei, "I won't waste your time. I'll go back first." After saying that, she waved her hand at Li Chunmei and left with her head held high like a general who had won the battle. Li Chunmei stared at Sheng Fenghua's back with hatred, wishing that she could poke a few holes in her body. Sheng Fenghua returned home in a good mood after receiving the money. Si Zhanbei was sitting on the sofa reading a book. Si Zhanbei put down the book and sized up Sheng Fenghua once. When he saw that she was fine, he was relieved and said, "You're back." "I'm back." Sheng Fenghua nodded with a smile. When she thought of Li Chunmei's angry look, she was overjoyed. Today, she had finally avenged her predecessor. Sheng Fenghua believed that after today, Li Chunmei's good image among her family members would definitely be greatly reduced. "You're so happy. Did you do it?" Si Zhanbei looked at Sheng Fenghua's smiling face, and his mood immediately improved. Previously, he had been worried that Sheng Fenghua was no match for Li Chunmei and had always wanted to go and take a look. However, when he remembered that Sheng Fenghua had said that she would deal with it herself, he had no choice but to endure it. Now, seeing that Sheng Fenghua had returned with a smile on her face, he knew that she had not suffered a loss and that the matter had been completed. Only then did he feel relieved. "Here, I'll return it to you." Sheng Fenghua handed the money she had asked for from Li Chunmei to Si Zhanbei. When she left home, she did not bring any money with her. Si Zhanbei had paid for all the medical expenses. Now that the money was coming back, she should return it to him. Si Zhanbei looked at the money Sheng Fenghua handed over and was slightly startled. He said, "Take this money and use it. There's no need. You still have some money for my living expenses. It's enough. You can keep this money." Sheng Fenghua waved her hand. She had never used a man's money before. If it weren't for the fact that her predecessor didn't have any money, she wouldn't even want Si Zhanbei's living expenses. Moreover, she had already decided to go out and earn some money. Sheng Fenghua believed that relying on her medical skills to earn money was definitely a small matter. Seeing that Sheng Fenghua was unwilling to take his money, Si Zhanbei didn't know why, but anger suddenly surged in his heart. He pushed her hand that was handing the money over. He said, "We're husband and wife. My money is your money. Moreover, I didn't give you much living expenses before. Your health isn't good, so you need to replenish it. After saying that, he was afraid that Sheng Fenghua would say something he didn't want to hear anymore, so he went straight into the house. Sheng Fenghua stared blankly at Si Zhanbei's back and realized later that he was angry. But she didn't know why Si Zhanbei was angry. Could it be because of the money in his hands? All right, since he wasn't willing to accept it, then he would leave it with her for now. Anyway, he would give her living expenses every month, so he didn't have to give it to her in the future. With that thought, Sheng Fenghua put away the money. Then she went into the house, took some change, and prepared to buy vegetables. Before she went out, she walked to the door of Si Zhanbei's room and said, "Zhanbei, I'm going to buy vegetables." As soon as she finished speaking, the door of the room opened. "I'll go with you." Si Zhanbei walked out. He was on vacation today, so he could accompany her to take a walk outside. Sheng Fenghua did not react for a moment and looked at Si Zhanbei in a daze. Other than when she had just arrived and did not know the way, Si Zhanbei had accompanied her once and never accompanied her again. What was going on today? Why did he suddenly want to accompany her to buy vegetables? Could it be that he was afraid that he would not like to eat the vegetables he bought? Sheng Fenghua found an excuse for Si Zhanbei to buy vegetables for himself. When she came back to her senses, she found that the other party had already arrived at the door and was waiting for her. She could not help but quicken her pace and chased after him. The two of them locked the door and went down the family building. They left the family courtyard and headed towards the vegetable market. The market was in the town, and it took about half an hour to walk. The two of them walked one after the other without saying a word. It was not until Sheng Fenghua could not keep up with Si Zhanbei's footsteps that she said, "Si Zhanbei, can you slow down a little? I can't even keep up." Hearing Sheng Fenghua's words, Si Zhanbei realized that his little wife had fallen behind by a lot. So he stopped and waited in place. After Sheng Fenghua caught up, Si Zhanbei slowed down his pace and walked forward with Sheng Fenghua's pace. The two of them walked side by side. Sheng Fenghua turned her head to look at Si Zhanbei and asked, "Zhanbei, can I train with your soldiers?" Her body was too weak, and she needed to strengthen her physical strength as soon as possible. Hearing Sheng Fenghua's words, Si Zhanbei stopped in his tracks and looked at her for a while before asking, "Why? Why did he want to train with his men?" "My physical strength is too weak," Sheng Fenghua said with a smile. She needed to train her physical strength first. As for her skills, as long as her physical strength increased, it would not be a problem. Si Zhanbei frowned slightly. He looked at Sheng Fenghua's small body and hesitated for a moment before saying, "Training is very hard. If you want to train your physical strength, then run with me every morning." Of course, training hard was one thing. In fact, Si Zhanbei did not want his little wife to hang out with a large group of men at all. No matter which side her little wife was on, only he could see it. "I'm not afraid of hardship." Sheng Fenghua smiled and said, "In the past, when they trained, it would only be more difficult than now. If that was the case, she would have come over, let alone now. I know, but I can't bear to let you suffer." Si Zhanbei looked into Sheng Fenghua's eyes and said seriously, "Me?" When Sheng Fenghua heard this, she looked at Si Zhanbei in a daze. His expression was serious, and his eyes were full of seriousness. She knew that what Si Zhanbei said was true. He really couldn't bear to let her suffer. But while though they were husband and wife, they had no feelings. Could it be that he couldn't bear to let her suffer because they were husband and wife? On second thought, Sheng Fenghua felt that something was wrong. When she thought about Si Zhanbei marrying her, there must be something that she didn't know happened. But what exactly was it? Sheng Fenghua could not figure it out, so she could only stop thinking about it for the time being. She looked at Si Zhanbei seriously for a while, and finally nodded and said, "Okay." Hearing Sheng Fenghua say, "Okay," the corners of Si Zhanbei's mouth slightly rose. He could not help but reach out to rub her hair and said, "Let's go." Sheng Fenghua was stunned by Si Zhanbei's sudden action and was in a daze. Why did she feel like she was spoiled? However, as she looked at Si Zhanbei's back, she felt that she might be overthinking things. She shook her head and shook off the thoughts that she should not have. Sheng Fenghua quickly chased after him. When she thought about the lack of food and seasonings at home, Sheng Fenghua went straight to the store that sold seasonings as soon as she entered the market. She bought all kinds of seasonings. Fortunately, with Si Jianbei around, Sheng Fenghua was able to save a lot of trouble. Otherwise, she would not be able to buy so many things by herself. Si Jianbei watched as Sheng Fenghua kept buying and buying, but he did not say anything. He just followed behind her and worked as a porter. To be honest, he was really not good at cooking. Before he got married, he ate in the canteen. After he got married, he still ate in the canteen. Because Sheng Fenghua was afraid of him in the past, he tried his best not to appear in front of her. Sheng Fenghua did not think too much about it. She bought all the spices before she left the shop and planned to buy vegetables. The area where the vegetables were sold was very close to the shop. After Sheng Fenghua bought a few dishes that she liked to eat, she turned around and asked Si Jianbei, who had been following behind her without saying a word, "What kind of dishes do you like to eat?" "Anything is fine." Si Jianbei was stunned and replied. He had never thought that Sheng Fenghua would ask him what kind of dishes he liked to eat, so he did not react for a moment and casually replied. However, his reply made Sheng Fenghua unhappy and muttered, "You've grown up. Don't you have any dishes that you like to eat?" Seeing the dissatisfaction on Sheng Fenghua's face, Si Jianbei did not know why, but his heart suddenly softened and he said one word, "Yes. Since there are dishes that you like to eat, then tell me. Otherwise, after this village, there won't be that shop." Sheng Fenghua curled her lips and looked at Si Jianbei. However, she did not know that his actions had once again struck Si Jianbei's heart, making him feel an impulse to kiss her. Sheng Fenghua was waiting for Si Jianbei to tell her what dishes he liked to eat, but after waiting for a long time, she did not hear him speak. She could not help but look at him. When he saw Si Jianbei looking at him in a daze, he was speechless. He stretched out his hand and waved it in front of his eyes, saying, "What are you in a daze for?" Nothing." Si Jianbei came back to his senses and looked away guiltily. Sheng Fenghua didn't think too much about it. She looked at him and said, "You're not worried that I won't cook, are you?" "No, no. Don't tell me you really don't have any dishes that you like to eat." Sheng Fenghua couldn't help but frown as she asked. She didn't know why, but when she thought that Si Jianbei actually didn't have any dishes that he liked to eat, her heart ached a little. As a foodie, she had a lot of dishes that she liked to eat. Moreover, when she ate the dishes that she liked to eat, it would have a blissful taste. Seeing Sheng Fenghua looking at him with sympathy, Si Jianbei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He wanted to reach out and rub her hair, but he held too many things in his hands. In the end, he could only say, "Don't think too much. I like spicy dishes such as minced fish head and spicy chicken." Si Jianbei only said 2 dishes, which could be considered his favorite. When Sheng Fenghua heard this, she laughed. She also liked these 2 dishes. Thus, she strode towards the fish and chicken stall. After they bought the things, they saw that it was getting late, so they didn't shop much. They left the market and were ready to go home. However, just as they left the market, they heard the sound of running and shouting from afar. "Murder! Murder!" The voice came from afar and soon reached the ears of Sheng Fenghua and Si Jianbei, causing their expressions to change. Si Jianbei, in particular, looked straight ahead like a falcon. Then, a running man entered their eyes, holding a kitchen knife with blood dripping from it. Behind the man, a few men and women were chasing after him. The distance between the 2 parties was getting closer and closer. At the end of the market, there were many people who heard the commotion and stopped to watch the show. "Quick, help stop him. He has killed someone. Don't let him escape." The people chasing behind him shouted for help as they ran. Hearing this, some of them were bold enough to immediately surround the man and capture him. Si Jianbei had also put down the thing in his hand early and was quietly approaching the man's back, preparing to catch him by surprise. As for Sheng Fenghua, she did not notice Si Jianbei's actions at all. She was frowning at the man with the knife, thinking about something. When the man saw that he could not escape, he looked around. Soon, Sheng Fenghua, who was standing in the middle and was the closest to him, entered his target. At this moment, Sheng Fenghua was holding something and standing there in a daze. At a glance, she looked like she was scared out of her wits. Looking at Sheng Fenghua like this, looking at the people who were about to surround her and catch her, the man holding the knife quickly made a decision. He rushed to Sheng Fenghua and pulled her into his arms. The kitchen knife in his hand was placed on Sheng Fenghua's neck. Si Jianbei, who had just walked behind the man, saw this scene, and his face instantly turned ugly. Although he had thought that the other party would take hostages, he did not expect that the person would be Sheng Fenghua. Let her go. Si Jianbei came in front of the man and Sheng Fenghua with a murderous aura and said coldly. At this moment, he could not help but blame himself. If he had not been afraid of startling the man just now and had been a step faster, this would not have happened. Let me go. The man looked at Si Jianbei. The hand holding the knife was trembling. He could see the murderous intent in Si Jianbei's eyes. I'll say it again. Let her go. Si Jianbei held back his anger and repeated it again with a dark face. He was a soldier. It was his duty to protect the country and the people. But now, he couldn't even protect his little wife well. He actually let her be kidnapped. Si Jianbei blamed himself. Don't even think about it. After the man shouted these two words, he pulled Sheng Fenghua back a few steps. He could see that Si Jianbei was a dangerous person. His instincts told him to stay away. At this time, the men and women who were chasing the man also arrived. They were stunned when they saw the man kidnapping Sheng Fenghua. They had never expected that the man would not only kill the man, but also take the hostage. What was he trying to do? Could it be that he wanted to kill another person? At this moment, Si Jianbei's gaze shifted from the criminal to Sheng Fenghua. When he saw that Sheng Fenghua's face did not show any signs of fear, he was both surprised and relieved. He thought to himself, as expected of his wife. She did not change her expression when facing the criminal and remained calm. However, he still comforted her and said, Fenghua, don't be afraid. I will save you. Hearing this, Sheng Fenghua smiled. Actually, she didn't need Si Jianbei's help to deal with this gangster. It was just that she was holding something in her hand, and it wasn't convenient for her to do it. However, seeing Si Jianbei's worried look and listening to his comforting words, she was still very happy. However, seeing the smile on Sheng Fenghua's face, the crowd that was watching the show immediately burst into discussion. Oh my God, is this woman crazy? She's still smiling even at this time. She's still smiling even after being kidnapped by criminals. She's probably scared silly. She's definitely silly. Some people shook their heads while others sighed. The discussion entered Sheng Fenghua's ears, making her somewhat speechless. However, she didn't say anything and the smile on her face didn't disappear. Then, she loosened her grip and the thing she was holding fell to the ground. She was about to make a move. But at this time, the men and women who had caught up spoke up. Ayong, you've already committed a grave sin by killing Ame. Do you still want to take another life? Ayong, do you have the heart to watch your parents die in vain? Ayong, how did you become like this? Ayong, quickly put down the knife. Hearing the persuasion of those people, Ayong's eyes instantly turned red. He shouted loudly, Why did I become like this? It's all because you guys forced me to. I said I wouldn't go out to work, but you forced me to go out. Fine, I'll listen to you guys and go out. But Ame cheated on me at home. I'm a man. Can I tolerate it? Ayong, Ame cheated on you. It's indeed wrong, but you don't have to sacrifice your life for her. If I don't kill her, I won't be able to take this lying down. Ayong, listen to me and let that girl go. Bullsh asterisk T. Why should I listen to you guys? It's already like this now. At most, I'll just die. Anyway, killing one is killing. Killing two is also killing. Si Jianbei saw that Ayong's mind was attracted to someone else, so he quietly approached him. Seeing that Si Jianbei was only a few steps away from Atong, he only needed to leap forward to pounce on the other party and save Sheng Fenghua. However, this was done with the cooperation of Sheng Fenghua. Therefore, he secretly made a hand gesture to Sheng Fenghua. Seeing that hand gesture, Sheng Fenghua blinked. Originally, she wanted to escape by herself. Now that Si Jianbei wanted to be the hero to save the beauty, she could only push the boat with the current. After all, it was not yet time for her skills to be exposed. Si Jianbei was worried that Sheng Fenghua would not be able to understand his hand gestures. However, he saw her blink and could not help but feel a little surprised. However, at this moment, he did not have time to think too much. He raised his head and glanced at Sheng Fenghua. Then, he leaped up and pounced towards the man. At this moment, Sheng Fenghua lifted her foot and stomped on the man's foot. Without tilting her body, she lowered her body and broke away from the man's control. At this moment, Si Jianbei just happened to pounce on the man. He directly threw the man onto the ground and restrained his hand that was holding the kitchen knife. Good. Seeing this scene, everyone cheered in unison. Si Jianbei took the kitchen knife from the man's hand and pulled the man up. He cut the man's hands back and handed them over to the police officer who had rushed over. Commander Si, it's you. The police officer recognized Si Jianbei. As he took the man over, he waved at him. I'll leave him to you guys. Si Jianbei nodded. After handing the man over to the police officer, he turned around and walked towards Sheng Fenghua. Are you okay? Si Jianbei came in front of Sheng Fenghua. He sized her up and asked with concern, with you here, what can happen to me? Sheng Fenghua met Si Jianbei's gaze and raised her eyebrows with a smile. Hearing this, the expression on Si Jianbei's face softened. Then, he did not care about the crowd and pulled Sheng Fenghua into his arms. He hugged her tightly and asked in a low voice, were you scared just now? He was scared out of his wits just now. Fortunately, Sheng Fenghua was fine. Si Jianbei's sudden action made Sheng Fenghua stunned. She looked up at him in a daze. Was this still Si Jianbei? Why did she feel like she was a different person? What's wrong? Are you scared? Si Jianbei looked at Sheng Fenghua's dazed look and couldn't help but worry. Hearing Si Jianbei's voice in her ear, Sheng Fenghua came back to her senses and quickly shook her head. No. After saying that, Sheng Fenghua remembered that she was still in Si Jianbei's arms, and her ears couldn't help but turn red. Mengda retreated out. In order to cover up her uneasiness, she quickly walked to the place where she had thrown her things and bent down to pick them up. Si Jianbei did not expect that Sheng Fenghua would push him away, and he staggered and almost fell. When he stood up and thought about what he had just done, his ears quickly turned red. He actually hugged her little wife, and in public? Let's go, we should go home. Sheng Fenghua picked up all the things, and when she looked up, she saw Si Jianbei's flushed face and could not help but be stunned. When she came back to her senses, she laughed lightly again. She did not expect Si Jianbei to be so pure. Wasn't it just a hug? He was even more shy and embarrassed than she was. Si Jianbei, who was in a daze, did not hear Sheng Fenghua's words at all. His mind was replaying the scene of him hugging Sheng Fenghua and holding her in his arms. When he was hugging her, he did not think too much. He was only worried about Sheng Fenghua, worried that she would be scared, worried that she would be scared. But now, when he recalled the feeling of hugging Sheng Fenghua, it was soft and warm. It made him feel like he was eating. He thought to himself, how good it would be if he kept hugging her like this. Jianbei, what are you daydreaming about? It's time for us to go home. Sheng Fenghua saw that Si Jianbei did not respond for a long time, so she could not help but walk up to him and wave her hand in front of his eyes. Oh, what's wrong? Si Jianbei came back to his senses and asked foolishly, we're going home. We're going home. Si Jianbei still did not react, and he could not keep up with Sheng Fenghua's pace. Only after he finished speaking did he really react, and then his face turned red again. Fortunately, his skin was tanned. If one did not look carefully, they would not be able to tell that he was blushing. Si Jianbei was a little embarrassed. He did not dare to face Sheng Fenghua, so he quickly went to get the things that he had put on the ground earlier. With the things in his hands, he once again returned to the silent and cold-faced Si Jianbei. Sheng Fenghua followed behind Si Jianbei. She looked at his ears that had turned red all the way and snickered in her heart. It turned out that her husband was actually such an innocent man. Just a hug from him would cause her ears to turn red. Haha, why did she feel that he was so cute? She really did not know what her previous self was thinking. Such a cute man, yet she actually despised and was afraid of him. Fortunately, it was her turn now. She had to display her charm and let Si Jianbei fall in love with her. Then, They would hold hand for the rest of their lives. Although Si Jianbei was a little uncomfortable, he did not forget that there was still Shang Fenghua behind him. So, every time they walked a distance, he would stop and wait for her to follow. The two of them, one in front and one behind, quickly returned to the family courtyard. When the people in the courtyard saw that Si Jianbei and Shang Fenghua had returned together with something in their hands, they could not help but look at them curiously. Shang Fenghua did not care at all about their sizing up. She smiled and waved at them before going upstairs. Even when the two of them returned home, the person who had been waved at by Shang Fenghua still could not come back to his senses. Didn't they say that Shang Fenghua was as timid as a mouse and did not like to talk what happened today? She actually took the initiative to wave at them, and even smiled and waved at them. It was only at this moment that they began to believe what others had said about Shang Fenghua, making Li Chunmei choke. Shang Fenghua was not in the mood to care about what others thought. These 2 days in the hospital, she had not eaten well at all, so when she returned home, she sat down to rest while she began to cook and pick vegetables. Si Jianbei watched and reached out to help. Seeing that he was so proactive, Shang Fenghua nodded her head in satisfaction. Not bad, he had good taste. Even though Si Jianbei did not help, she could handle it. But for a woman, a man who would take the initiative to help with the housework was still rare and valuable. The two of them worked together, and the vegetables were quickly picked. So, Shang Fenghua handed the picked vegetables to Si Jianbei and said, "I'll go deal with the chicken and fish, you go wash the vegetables." Okay. Si Jianbei did not say much, picked up the basket, and went to wash the vegetables. Shang Fenghua went into the kitchen and cut the fish. She separated the fish head and body, cut the fish body into small pieces, and submerged them with cooking wine starch. She not only liked to eat the fish head, but also liked to eat fried small pieces of fish. Therefore, when she bought the fish today, she specifically bought a whole fish head, not just the fish head. After she finished the fish, Shang Fenghua was ready to cut the chicken into small pieces. Si Jianbei finished washing the vegetables and brought them out. He saw Shang Fenghua chopping the chicken with a knife. He could not help but walk in, took the knife in her hand, and said, "You rest for a while, I'll cut it." Shang Fenghua was stunned when she heard that. She turned to look at Si Jianbei for a while, handed the knife to him, and turned to peel the garlic. Although Si Jianbei didn't know how to cook, his strength was greater than Shang Fenghua's. In just a few moves, he had chopped the chicken into small pieces. After he was done, he asked Shang Fenghua, "Are there any more vegetables to cut? I'll cut them all together." "There's no need. You can rest outside. I'll do the rest myself." With that, Shang Fenghua pushed Si Jianbei out of the kitchen and began to cook. Si Jianbei turned around and left the kitchen. He sat in the living room and read a book. However, after reading for a long time, he did not read a single word. His gaze swept to the direction of the kitchen from time to time. He smelled the fragrance coming from the kitchen, and there were a few times when he wanted to get up and take a look. He wanted to go and take a look, but he was afraid that Shang Fenghua would be unhappy. With this kind of mood, half an hour passed. Shang Fenghua's dishes were almost done, so he shouted, "Jianbei, get a bowl and chopsticks. It's time to eat." Hearing Shang Fenghua's shout, Si Jianbei threw the book aside, stood up quickly, and went to the kitchen. When he walked into the kitchen and saw the few dishes that had already been cooked, his eyes were filled with surprise. Not to mention the fragrance that he had smelled before, even the dishes looked extremely delicious. Looking at these dishes, Si Jianbei's mind flashed with doubt again. Previously, he had occasionally seen Shang Fenghua's dishes, but he had never seen such a good look. Could it be that this person had changed, and even his cooking skills had changed? As he was thinking, he heard Shang Fenghua say, "What are you daydreaming about? Quickly get the bowls and chopsticks. It's time to eat." As Shang Fenghua said this, she even pushed Si Jianbei. Si Jianbei was pushed like this and came back to his senses. He took the bowls and chopsticks from the cupboard, washed them, and left the kitchen. Then, he came in and carried out the dishes that Shang Fenghua had prepared. When he had finished arranging the dishes, Shang Fenghua came out with the last bowl of soup. Si Jianbei looked at the steaming soup and was worried that Sheng Fenghua would be bored by the soup. So he quickly went forward to take it. After he placed the soup on the table, he turned to look at Sheng Fenghua and said, "In the future, I'll handle such matters. How are you? Did you get scalded?"